welcome you all for this inaugural session of the two-day conference on mental health for higher educational institutes. I can see that Shri Guruji, Dr. Nagendra ji has already joined, and I'm truly grateful. Namaskar, sir. So I'll begin the inaugural session with introducing our very loving sir, Dr. Rajiv Yeravdekar. Dr. Rajiv Yeravdekar needs no introduction. He is Dean of Faculty of Health Sciences. He is a member of various governmental bodies, including MCI, the Central Supervisory Board, Maharashtra Medical Council, Maharashtra Nursing Council, Consultancy Development Center, TSIR, etc., and professional organizations like FICCI and Nath Health, etc. Dr. Rajiv is championing the concept of health promoting higher educational institutes in India. He is a member of the steering group of International Health Promoting Universities and Colleges, the working group of UGC, to bring out policy on health promoting university, and the Fit India Movement Campaign Committee, MHRD, Government of India. Dr. Rajiv, sir, has contributed a number of articles in various national and international journals. As member of various national bodies, Dr. Rajiv has contributed to policy formulation and regulatory mechanisms influencing healthcare delivery, medical or nursing education nationally. Welcome, sir, and we welcome you for the opening remarks.
Good morning, Girija. Thank you for that kind introduction. So, Pranam, Namaskar, good morning, Guten Tag, Bonjour, Salam Alaikum, Josa, and a very own Pranam to all the delegates and speakers who have gathered from across international borders and different geographies for this wonderful two-day initiative on mental health for higher educational institutions, brainstorming on a very important concept of raising resilient youth, the role of universities to spreading this awareness and spreading from university confines to the larger confines of the community. The conference has been organized by the Symbiosis International University through its youngest, but in the current times, one of the most important constituents, namely the Symbiosis Center for Emotional Wellbeing, along with Empower, led very ably by Ms. Neerja Birla, and in association with the Government of India through its Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs. Honorable Chancellors, two iconic personalities, Dr. Muzumdar sir, who's traversed the journey from Gram to Vishwagram, and we shall hear more about sir tomorrow, and the other iconic chancellor of this wonderful institute of eminence, the S. Vyasa University, Dr. Nagendra ji, Guruji, namaskar to you specifically. Thank you for having agreed to participate in the inaugural function, and your journey from NASA to S. Vyasa is a true testimony of your commitment to the cause of yoga and national building, nation building through the important stream of yoga. The Pro-Chancellor of the Symbiosis International University, Dr. Vidya Yeravdekar, the Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Rajni Gupte, Deans of the faculties of various disciplines at the Symbiosis International University, our old colleague from Symbiosis, who is now back into Australia, our mate, Dr. Aparna Hibbani. Welcome, Aparna. Pleasure connecting with you again. Faculty members of the Faculty of Health Sciences and other faculties at the Symbiosis International University. Team Empower, as I said, ably led by Ms. Neerja Madam. And probably the soul and the essence and the fulcrum of this two-day event, the two energetic, the young and beautiful Dr. Girija Mahale, and the young and dynamic Dr. Amrish from Empower, who have been the organizing secretaries, along with Dr. Anita Patankar, who has supported her very ably in the conceptualization of this event. Some of the international faculty I would specifically like to acknowledge: Dr. Uttam Shiralkar from the UK, Dr. Anupam, again from the NHS UK, Dr. Sherry from Hong Kong, Ms. Kiran Dikshit from US, my friend Samir from Oman, Sultan Qaboos University, Dr. Samir from the Fortis Group, Dr. Atre from the WHO, and I can go on, but for paucity of time, I would restrict my welcome to all this, but my heart reaches out with a deep sense of gratitude to all the national and international faculty who have helped contribute to the development and conceptualization of this wonderful conference, and a much needed one. Besides talking on mental health in general, this conference raises a very important aspect and dimension of mental health, specifically that of building resilience. What is exactly resilience? Is it ductility? Is it malleability? Is it the ability to brace up to circumstances? Is it ability to take a no? Is it ability to rise as a phoenix in light of adversities? Well, it includes all of this and much beyond. And the youth have been specifically been the fulcrum and the epicenter of all these initiatives. Because when we talk about mental health, it is the youth, and specifically in a LMIC and low middle income country such as India, which is considered as a developing economy, and the much oft touted and flaunted demographic dividend, and the fear raised by policymakers of this demographic dividend getting converted into a demographic disaster, should we not address the health concerns of the youth? All prompt policymakers, thinkers, academicians, researchers, everyone to focus on mental health of the youth and concerns of the youth, whether it's economic empowerment, whether it's health empowerment, whether it's academic empowerment. COVID or no COVID, the youth find the favor and patronization of all stakeholders. I won't go into the depths of all the statistics of India being the epicenter of teenage suicides, India being the depression capital of the world, for I claim no expertise in the field of psychiatry. I'm a gynecologist by training and by profession. But suffice it enough to say at this juncture that the number of suicides, the number of substance abuse cases, the number of sexual harassments which occur on campus, the number of relationship maladjustments which are prevalent in the youth are today but what we gynecologists call as surrogate indicators of the deteriorating mental health status of students in higher educational institutes, specifically on campuses of universities. Why is this so? It is simply because university level education or higher educational institutes pose a different milieu. The student is exposed to an ocean of opportunities. There's a loss of tender loving care of the parents, loss of the support and functional solidarity of which we Indians are justly proud, the family, which is the functional unit of the community. And coupled with this, the peer pressure, the Bollywood influence, all add to making or subjecting or the students indulging themselves in risk-related behavior, which results in a deterioration of the mental status. But it also talks about an important dimension of the deterioration in mental health, where the role of academia emerges. Because if we as academicians want our students to excel and perform well academically, we need to understand the old adage of a healthy mind in a healthy body, or a healthy body which houses a healthy mind. And the universal concept of a domino effect, where one aspect and one dimension of a student's life impacts and collides with the other dimensions, is testimony to the fact that we cannot consider mental health in its isolation. Unfortunately, the scenario today is that mental health is but the subject of ridicule, is but the subject of procrastination, is but the subject of being ostracized in society. So whereas you have an individual lining up with a fracture or a physical disability, He gets the patronization and sympathy and concern and kind words of all members of the society, all stakeholders. Oh, this person met with an accident. He's got a physical disability. But when it comes to mental health deterioration, he's looked down upon by society. Are uska to dimag theek nahi hai. For those who don't understand Hindi, are he's mentally deranged. And it is shunned by stakeholders across stratas of society. So we as academia, of the stature of a university, of a stature of an international university, having students from 80 different geographies, thought it prudent and wise to set up a dedicated center on campus of the university by way of the Symbiosis Center for Emotional Well-being, aptly led by Dr. Girija. And the first approach is therefore to destigmatize the approach. Let us not stigmatize person with a mental disability or a mental disorder. Let us understand that it is as much a disorder of the mind as much as a disorder of the body. The second approach, which we have taken as Team Symbiosis, is to decentralize the approach. Why should mental health be the fiefdom of psychiatrists? We need an army of people, psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, medical social workers. We need the support of family and friends if we are to come out with meaningful solutions, sustainable solutions in addressing mental health problems. And thirdly, going back to our roots, we do understand that as academia, as university, for it to be sustainable and to have a perpetuating, sustainable impact on improving the mental health condition, we have to raise an army of mental health professionals beyond doctors alone. And there comes the role of universities and higher educational institutions, which become the nursery of training and producing a sustainable, ever-producing fountain of manpower across different cadres. So the approach is three-pronged: destigmatization, decentralization, and educationalizing the entire initiative. I'm sure over the next 2 days, you are going to have an academic feast dwelling on these various dimensions, global scenarios, national scenarios, possible solutions. And I've implored Team Girija that at the end of these 2-day deliberations, which will leave us all much enlightened, much the richer, hearing from stalwarts and iconic personalities in the realm of mental health, to come out with a mental health policy manual, which should be applicable to higher educational institutes, not only nationally, but globally. And along with the good offices of the WHO and the AIU, we hope to make it as a recommendation to the echelons of higher power, whether it's the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, whether it's WHO, whether it's the Ministry of Education, to reach out to make it as a policy manual, which will be in consonance with the National Mental Health Policy of 2017 and the special WHO initiative of ensuring universal health coverage for mental health for the 5 years from 2019 to 24. Ultimately, as academia, if we want to implement the National Health Policy 2020 in its some substance and spirit, we cannot afford to sidetrack and ignore mental health. With these few opening remarks, I thank the organizers for having given me an opportunity to share my thoughts with these stalwarts, with the various stakeholders who are participating. And I look forward to this academic, as I said, extravaganza or feast, where we will all look at mental health from a newer perspective. We need to convert our sight into a vision. Thank you. And thank you so much, Dr. Girija. And welcome aboard, everyone. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir. I now ask Dr. Amrish to introduce Mrs. Neerja Birla, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Rajiv. I welcome Mrs. Neerja Birla. She doesn't need an introduction. Her work speaks for herself. She is the founder and chairperson of Aditya Birla Education Trust, which is an umbrella body. Under her dynamic leadership, we are Empower, Aditya Birla World Academy, Aditya Birla Education Academy, and the Aditya Birla Integrated School. She has been recipient of numerous awards and she has been a dynamic woman under which we have flourished a lot. Without further ado, I invite Mrs. Birla to give us a welcome address. Over to you, Mrs. Birla.
Thank you, Dr. Amrish, for that wonderful introduction, and Dr. Yaravdekar. It was wonderful listening to you. And good morning to everybody who's gathered here for this conference this morning. We've got people from all over the globe, and that makes me feel really good because, as we all know, we're all in it together. We all know that mental health needs that focus, needs the light to fall on it, and conferences like these really help in that agenda. The Symbiosis Empower International Conference, which we have specifically put together with the theme of raising resilient youth from university to community, has been organized, as we all know, by the Symbiosis Center for Emotional Wellbeing, the Symbiosis International University, and Empower, and supported by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India. It's extremely important that all of us have come together for this. And I really would want to earnestly thank Dr. Vidya for this, Dr. Rajiv Yaravdekar for this, Dr. Girija, and the entire Symbiosis team, who really, worked a lot and since over a very long time to put this conference together, along with Dr. Amrish and our entire Empower team. The efforts have been absolutely laudable for curating, executing, and making this conference a reality, and more so in the light of this current pandemic and the uncertainty that we are all facing on a daily basis. I'd like to really very, very warmly welcome our chief guest, Padma Shri Dr. H.R. Nagendra, who's the President and Chancellor of the Vivekanand Yoga Anusandhan Sansthan, Dr. Mazumdar, who's very graciously also attended this conference, and of course, Mr. Rahul Bose, who's an actor par excellence. All our guests of honor and chief guests work with the youth, with higher education and mental health, and therefore are invaluable voices in this conversation regarding mental health and education, and the coming together, the confluence of these, which is extremely important. So let's get into our conference, and I want to first talk a little bit about Empower. When I first started my career in the field of education, I realized that we need to come together and create Empower, which was founded with the vision of creating a stigma-free society. Like Dr. Yaravdekar was saying, there is so much stigma around mental health. So Empower was founded with that exact vision of creating a completely stigma-free society where people with mental health concerns and their caregivers can live a life of fulfillment with support, acceptance, dignity, and respect, which is lacking to a very, very large extent. And I think we all have experienced it time and again, whether it is with ourselves, whether it is with family, whether it is with friends, people we know in the immediate circle or outside. We all know that mental health gets a lot of is riddled with stigma. It always gets a lot of questions. People don't accept it, and I think we all think of it as a personal failing. So therefore, the stigma really exists at two levels. It's our own at a personal level, where we think of it as a personal failing, and we therefore don't want to come to terms with it. We don't want to accept it, whether it is with ourselves or with our family. And of course, then there is a collective stigma, which is there at a very social level, at the society level, where as a society we don't, we do not accept this as something which is as much as a physical problem as it is a mental problem, and we just do not give it that respect that it deserves. At Empower, we work under various verticals. We've got clinical services, we've got workshops where we've conducted over 1,100 workshops now in schools and colleges. And I must say that our focus has been the youth. We have a lot of workshops that are happening where we're dealing with topics like bullying, understanding emotions, social media, relationship-based issues. We have a lot of mental health awareness programs, And again, our focus is on the youth. We are also talking to people, parents, and also people from a much older generation and a much older demographic as well. We also have Empower cells, which are working at on-site campuses, like we have the one at the BITS, where our counselor actually has one-on-one interactions with the children, which is on the campus. We've had over 3,500 sessions in our Empower cells in various parts of the country, whether it is in Bombay, like we said, we have it in BITS, we have it in Pilani. We're going to be opening one in Hyderabad very soon. We've also partnered with the Australian Youth Mental Health First Aid to offer courses to help educators and guardians to be the first level of intervention in order to spot instances of mental distress. We've also, to make mental health services accessible to all, especially the youth, we also launched the helpline, which we did last year. And this year, we're all launching a chat helpline, which is a 24/7 service for people above the age of 18. So very often, as we all know, our generation, youth, are very comfortable chatting. So just like you have an online service where you can actually pick up the phone and speak to a counselor, if you're not able to do that, we have a chat helpline where you can just chat with the counselor, and they will instantly get back to you and chat back to you. So if you have any concerns, please do reach out to them. You can access this chat helpline via our website, which is www.empowerminds.com. It is a 24/7 service, especially for the youth, keeping in mind that chatting has become a preferred option, a preferred way of communication for a lot of people. Be rest assured, all our questions and concerns will be answered by experienced psychologists. Coming to the confluence of mental health and education, we've very recently launched the Minds Matter curriculum in our schools, which is designed to improve mental health literacy amongst children, to help build resilience and healthy coping mechanisms, so as to encourage help-seeking behavior and to contribute to early prevention and intervention, which we believe is the fulcrum and very, very critical aspect of mental health. Mental health solutions, where if you are able to reach out and seek help earlier, the prognosis is much better, and early prevention and therefore intervention becomes very critical. So coming back to the theme of our conference, why are we looking and why do we feel that resilience is such an important skill for the youth today? Like Dr. Yaravdekar said in his opening remarks, that resilience is a combination of all factors of malleability, being able to bounce back, being able to make the best of the situation, and not let challenges and so-called failures keep you down, bogged down. Therefore, resilience becomes a very important part, because today, as we all know, and more so today than ever before, uncertainty and the state of flux has actually become the norm. And I think we all are trying to deal with the situation where we're all trying to expect the unexpected. Every single day, there's been change. There is so much of uncertainty. Even without the pandemic, we all know that the period that you're in school and college is riddled with all different sorts of crises in one's life and in the world. And now more so, actually, with the stress of the academics coming in, it's become that much more. The youth of today, all of you, are facing with many different unexpected events. In addition to this, it could be just dealing with issues at home, dealing with huge life changes. It could be interpersonal factors like bullying in school or college, ragging, which I know does still exist in various degrees. Of course, there is the whole relationship issues that everybody goes through, the feelings of isolation, loneliness, especially as you're stepping into college. You're coming from a very, a protected environment. A lot of you are coming from protected environments, and then you're suddenly put into this new space of where you can feel lonely, you can feel isolated. You're also dealing with, discrimination of sorts. Social media has become a very difficult also tool to deal with if not used appropriately. So there are a lot of different traumatic experiences that people go through. And as you go through in life and in adulthood, these life-changing effects are always going to be a part of your life. As we all know, life is full of challenges. So therefore, how do we prepare you students right from the beginning to be able to deal with these adversities in life? How do we prepare you to, of course, academics is extremely important. So we have to prepare you to become global citizens, but we also have to prepare you to become mind strong with a robust foundation of mental health skills. And for that, I think resilience is a very, very important and a very valuable skill that an individual can have today. We all need resilience as we get into adult life, and you children need it even more. And therefore, I believe that if we are able to equip you with tools like resilience and other mental health related tools, I think as you step into life, you will be, we would have really geared you for life in general. And that's what Empower's vision is, to create this systemic change in mental health, and by enabling people to become more resilient to potential mental health challenges. So when you talk about resilience, what really is resilience? I think it's the ability to process setbacks, any kind of challenges, trauma, to bounce back from it, to learn from it, and to navigate through it. Life has to go on despite challenges. So how do you navigate through it and then emerge from it stronger and better prepared to tackle the future? I think resilience to me is a combination of all of that. And when you talk about resilience, we talk about three kinds of resilience, actually. So there's emotional resilience, there is mental resilience, and then, of course, there is, which is psychological resilience. And then there is, of course, physical resilience. So emotional resilience is teaching people how to understand what they are feeling and why you're feeling. How do you process that? Very often there are emotions that you experience and you don't know why you're feeling that. So emotional resilience actually allows you to process this turmoil that you face when you're dealing with stresses and trauma. Then there is psychological resilience, which is the mental fortitude to be able to adapt and learn from that. How do you psychologically deal with it? And then there is physical resilience, because obviously mental health and physical health go hand in hand, side by side. So physical resilience therefore becomes important, because how do you build healthy lifestyle? How do you make the right choices so that your body has the strength to combat the physical toil that stressors can have? Because ultimately both do go hand in hand. So when we are able to equip our students with these forms of resilience, we're able to lay the groundwork for them, which then form resilient communities and a resilient society. Because ultimately it is each one of us who makes up this resilient society. So we at Empower believe that there are 7 C's of resilience building. These are the skills that we do believe that is important to have in order to build resilience. So competence is the first C that we talk about, where we feel that making our children, making our youth competent, makes them feel that they're competent enough to rise and to recover from the fall that they have. So therefore, giving them the right opportunities to develop those kind of skills where they feel competent, which gives you the confidence, which is the second C, where young people need the confidence to be able to navigate the world. You have to think outside the box, and that gives you the confidence that yes, if you are facing a challenge, you will be able to recover from it. You have the right tools, you have the competence to do it. The connection with other people with schools and communities, which again gives people the security that you have a backing, you have the right connections with people, which can help you stand up and then develop solutions with help of others. The character, the sense of right and wrong, the commitment to integrity, when you know that yes, no matter what, you will know what is the right thing to do. Contribution, where young people, I think if you are able to contribute to the well-being of others, you realize that that is what makes you feel good, because you also receive gratitude rather than condemnation. You also feel that contributing makes you feel good. And then you know that others can also turn to you and you can turn to others without shame. Coping, where young people who possess a variety of healthy coping strategies will be able to less likely, obviously, turn to other quick fixes. So having the right coping mechanisms in place so that when you are faced with challenges, you know what are the right things to do, so that you don't say resort to something like, say, substance abuse, because you know that that's not the right coping mechanism. Dealing with it in the right manner, not turning to other things which are quick fixes, knowing that makes a very, very big difference. And then finally, you have control, where you know you have the privileges, and you've earned the respect through demonstrated responsibility. So you therefore make the right choices, and then you feel that you are in control of your life, which itself also gives you a sense of confidence to be able to make the right choices. And you know that you have the ability to come back from a fall, and make that failure into an opportunity. That, you know, we've all gathered here for a common vision and a shared dream. I think each of you is in a unique position to influence the young people that have gathered here. And by leading policy and making changes in the lives of India youth, I think we're able to make changes in our own ecosystem and change the world one day at a time. So let's be part of history. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Indeed, very, very valuable insights. Without any delay, I would like to now invite Dr. Vidya Yeravdekar, madam, an equally dynamic personality. I will briefly introduce ma'am. Ma'am's profile is extensive and work is really diverse. And she's held leadership positions in so many places that because of lack of time, I will not be reading out her entire profile, but some highlights. So Dr. Vidya ma'am is a principal director of Symbiosis Society and the pro-chancellor of Symbiosis International University. She holds a postgraduate degree in medicine, a degree in law, a PhD in internationalization of higher education in India. As a member of UGC for 2 terms, Central Advisory Board of Education under Ministry of Education and Indian Council for Cultural Relations under Ministry of External Affairs, she has been a facilitator of innovative approaches in higher education in India. Dr. Vidya has been appointed as a member of the expert group on global outreach of higher education formulated by UGC to implement the National Education Policy 2020 that was rolled out by the Ministry of Education, Government of India. Vidya ma'am has been appointed as a member advisory group of analytical and advisory work, World Bank. Madam's hard work has won her numerous awards and accolades. Her continuous endeavor to innovate and initiate has helped Symbiosis attain its present respect and admiration. Having accomplished all such feats, Dr. Vidya Madam is now committed to shape the Indian higher education globally through her extensive work in the field of internationalization of higher education. I'm extremely honored and very happy to have you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Girija, and I'm going to be brief because I think the 2 organizers and the main speakers were Dr. Rajiv and my dear friend Girija, and I think both of them spoke very well. They gave a wonderful overview of the whole scenario of mental health in our country and globally. And this is such an ideal time to have such a conference when we are actually hit by a pandemic which has caused chaos in minds of everybody, not just the youth, but even all of us. I think as parents, it's very difficult to deal with, with children. In fact, many parents are not even used to having their children at home for such a long time. And I think it's vice versa, where kids don't have their parents for that long. And I think even in families, there has become a chaos, and which also is leading to mental health. But what I'm very happy about is the establishment of the Symbiosis Center for Emotional Well-being, a department under the university and also under the Faculty of Health Sciences, and which was an idea which came to the minds of Dr. Muzumdar sir, our chancellor, who's also here. And when he felt that it's not just all about the physical health, and Rajiv spoke about it extensively, and it is now that we should give importance to mental health. So even before the pandemic, even before people started talking about mental health, Dr. Muzumdar sir felt that we need to have a dedicated department on the university campus that will help our young students and the youth of our country. And that's how the Symbiosis Center for Emotional Wellbeing was established. And I must say and appreciate the hard work and efforts of Dr. Girija Mahale and her wonderful team of counselors. I think having counselors on every campus of Symbiosis has helped students, and many of the parents have actually come to me and applauded the effort of Symbiosis to have counselors, because they felt that their children were not even opening up to parents. And now they find here counselors where they can open up, they can actually go and talk to, they find someone who listens to them carefully and also find solutions to their problems. So these counselors have become buddies and friends of our students, and so much so that Dr. Girija every month comes to me and says that I need more counselors on this campus. We need to increase the number of counselors because these counselors are available to students 24/7. And I wouldn't say that the students harass the counselors, but I'm very happy that the counselors are willing to take calls at any time of the day and night and do attend to calls from our students. Another statistics that Girija shared with me was wonderful. Last year, when the whole pandemic was in full swing and all the education was online, so was the counseling, and 20,000 students actually took the services of the Symbiosis Center for Emotional Wellbeing through the year, which is a mind-boggling figure. When things are available online, it's not so easy to pick up a call or write a mail to a counselor because people want to actually physically meet a counselor. And I'm sure when things open up, there will be a still better response. What this also means that communication and conversations is very, very important. And I think that's the theme that we are actually working on. How does one communicate, and how do we help conversations between these young students and all of us? In fact, all of us, when I say all of us, it means teachers, academic people, even counselors, doctors, and more importantly, parents. And I'm so glad that over the 2 days, Girija has actually designed wonderful sessions. And one important session, which I feel is important, is a session for parents. In fact, Girija is known to address parents and the mental health issues of children and how to cope up with them. She's an expert on that. But I'm very happy because it's not so easy to deal with a problem. As Rajiv said, if it's a physical problem, there is a lot of sympathy. But if there's a mental problem, there is more anger in the family, there is more frustration in the family. And therefore, it is important for not just parents, but even family members to deal with this. I'm very happy that my dear friend and a brother, I call him, Rahul Bose, is also here with just a call, not even a call. In fact, Rahul, is just a WhatsApp message to you and you accepted to come. I think more and more people like Rahul should come and talk to students, about this grave problem, because you all are idols for these students. And therefore, what you speak is like a mantra for them. I think students have also started opening up because of, a lot of the celebrities that have opened up to their mental health issues, whether it's Karan Johar or Deepika or so many other people. In fact, recently, even Virat Kohli made a statement. And I think this is important because these people are idols of the young generation. And I'm so happy that, they also contribute to opening up the communication and the conversations, between the youngsters. Nirja, you're doing wonderful work with Empower, and I'm so happy that you are now a part of this, momentum or drive of, bringing in resilience or dealing with mental health issues. And I'm sure it's a long journey for both of us, and I hope that we can tackle this issue well. Dr. Nagendra Swami, of course, sir, I'm extremely thankful to you for having accepted our invitation, because it's not just about mental health, but spiritual health, which is so very entwined and so very close to the mental health issues. And I'm sure people like you and Dr. Muzumdar sir, our own chancellor, will give us your blessings so that we take this journey forward. I wish this conference great success, Girija, and I'm sure we will be able to also frame a national policy on mental health. My dear friend Pankaj Mittal is not here because she's busy with the conference, who's the Secretary General of the Association of Indian Universities. And I've told her that, Rajiv and Girija will work out on a policy of mental health that we will then submit along with AIU to the Ministry of Education, so that a national policy on mental health is framed. So with these few words, I once again thank all of you for inviting me, Girija. And of course, I wish the conference great success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your encouraging and kind words. Without any delay, we now have our celebrity, our youth icon, Mr. Rahul Bose. Sir, the platform is all yours.
So first of all, Vidya, Rajiv, Girija, Nirja, everybody on the wonderful team at Symbiosis. It doesn't surprise me that you guys have taken the lead on this, because I have known Vidya now for, I think Vidya, it's almost been a decade. And my respect for her foresight and for her constant thirst to cater to the different needs of the youth in this country dazzles me. So, I'm not surprised. It's wonderful and it's great. Let me first preface what I'm going to talk about today by saying I'm not a mental health professional, but I run an NGO called HEAL, which deals with child sexual abuse. And in the last 13, 14 years, I've had the good fortune to interact with a lot of mental health professionals who spend their time counseling survivors of child sexual abuse, not necessarily children. In fact, most of them are adults who are grappling with the devastating after effects of sexual abuse that they experienced as children. So I do have a deep understanding from the outside. So just to preface that, please always take the help of professionals over someone like me. I would like to share with the girls and boys today my lived experiences of what mental health means. So Girija, I know that you're short on time. Whenever you want to cut me off, please do, and I'll wrap in 30 seconds, okay? So here's the thing. My personal lived experience is that in today's world, with Generation Z or Gen Z, as you call yourselves, there is tremendous amounts of pressure that everyone has talked about, which comes from social media. Competitiveness, jealousy, intense scrutiny, judgment. And on a rare occasion, the praise can be more than you actually deserve. That's rare. The negatives far outweigh the positives in terms of your lives. Affirmation, validation that you seek, the more you find yourselves in situations like the pandemic, the more you will be depending on social media, on your interactions. I'm not going to deal with any of that, because there are professionals and it's a deeply researched subject now, and I'm not the best person to talk about how to deal with that. I want to talk to you about what it means to be mentally healthy. What does it mean actually? To me, it means I am happy with my interactions with everybody in the world. I am satisfied with the quality of my interactions, and I like what people say about me. The first person who I have to impress is me. Am I satisfied with my interactions with myself? Do I speak the truth to myself about myself? Do I actually do this every day, where I have the guts to say, okay, you said the wrong thing to that boy or that girl or that person. You interacted badly with this person. You behaved in an extremely arrogant fashion with this person. You lied to this person. How can I rectify that? You have hurt this person. My first reaction is, it wasn't my fault. Come on, I mean, everybody was doing that kind of thing. Do I then sit back and say, go back and apologize? Because in my experience, every single time I've apologized to someone, the apology has always been accepted. And when the apology is accepted, it unleashes a strength, a new vitality in you, because you feel relieved. You feel that, oh, okay, I can start again. It is this notion, how are my interactions with myself, that will determine your entire worldview to how you will interact with other people. If you lie to yourself, if you refuse to accept the truth about yourself, you don't have to be somebody who is out there to say, I want to be a 9 on 10 in the world. I'm okay just, living, raising my children at 9 on 10. But the world might say, ये बंदा करता क्या है? ये तो घर पे रहता है. हाँ, उसके 2 बच्चे हैं, बच्चों का परवरिश करता है, लेकिन सभी लोग करते हैं. What is the big deal about this? It is enough. If that's what you want to do, first of all, it's a gargantuan task to raise beautiful human beings in this world who are compassionate and wise and deep. But if that's all you want to do, and you don't want the world, and the world is judging you, saying he doesn't do anything, he sits at home, what does he do, how much money does he make? If that doesn't matter to you, That's all that matters. You live for who you want to be. The reality, and the tragic reality, is most of us don't know who we want to be. Most of us are spending our times trying to be what the world wants us to be. So I'm going to take even one step further back and say, have you ever asked yourself who you are? What you like? What really floats your boat? What excites you? How you'd like to spend the rest of your life? I don't know, yaar. I'll just work a little bit and then, what excites me is to go out with my friends at night. No, what excites you as a human being? Is it helping other human beings? Is it acting and, being an artist and nourishing people's lives through your art? Is it solving problems that they might have in the world, whether it's legal or banking or real estate or whatever it might be? What is it that really moves you? What is it that you will say, this is what I want to do? Because if you don't do that, if you don't take a step back and ask who you are and what it is you should surround yourself with to make your life happy, you will never be healthy. So your interactions with the world will be unhappy if you are unhappy. Your interactions with yourself will be duplicitous and full of lies if you are running away from the truth about yourself. Once you face that, once you work with it, you can actually then get to points 2 and stage 2 and 3. Now let's go another stage back. Most people, and this is not their fault, don't have the ruthless introspection that some of us are born with to actually assess every aspect of one's life: personal, professional, social, and internal. If you don't have that, it's not a problem. That's what a senior colleague at work is for. That's what a best friend is for. That's what a clear-eyed, clear-thinking Masi or Mama is for in your family. And if none of this works, that's what counselors are there for. That's where you seek counsel. That's why they're called counselors. To get to understanding who you are, which interactions sit well with you, why you don't like somebody instinctively, what about this situation in this room makes you uncomfortable. If you don't get all of that sorted out, you will not go on to stage 2, which is, okay, now how do I interact with this world in a way that I feel proud, in a way that I feel healthy? And finally, what am I doing in this world? If it is raising 2 kids at home, absolutely fine. If I pretend that's what I want to do, but actually what I want to do is make millions on the stock market, why am I not doing that? There is no judgment call to be taken on who you have to be in this world. At the end of it, whether you're a banker or an actor or a lawyer or a mother or a father, as long as you are wiser, more compassionate, more sensible, more tender, more open, more inclusive, more quick to laugh than you were yesterday, automatically you're becoming a healthier person. This is my lived experience. As I said, I'm going to leave you in the hands of the professionals after this, but please, through Symbiosis, you can always feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer questions or chat with you in the years to come. Stay strong, stay very safe in these days. All the very best. Thank you, Symbiosis.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bose. I think you're not a mental health professional, but you're much more than that. I think what you said is absolutely profound and spot on. I think you told the students what self-reflection is, what it means to have that conversation with yourself. How do you build that healthy sense of self-esteem so that you can have healthy relationships with your peers, family, and the wider world outside? Absolutely, it is my honor, sir, to have you here and here to you. And we look forward to having you for, more opportunities to have you back on campus to speak with our students face to face. I'm sure today, you've inspired many lives. And thank you so much for your valuable time.
Thank you. All the best.
I now invite Vidya ma'am to invite our chief guest for the ceremony and introduce Guruji to the platform. Thank you, ma'am.
First of all, let me thank Rahul for a wonderful, insights that he gave. And I think it was just as Girija very rightly said, that it was really spot on. And I'm sure students who are watching this, some of them on the Zoom, but many of them on the YouTube Live must have really appreciated. Now we come to another gigantic person and an idol for many of us in the education sphere. Dr. Nagendra Swamiji, Guruji, I call him, who's the Chancellor of the S. Vyasa University. Honestly speaking, Girija, I'm not going to introduce him because he doesn't need any introduction. And I would feel very, very small to introduce a person of this magnanimity, who I call Guruji. We all know about him. We all know about the S. Vyasa University. And as Rajiv said, it is actually from NASA to S. Vyasa. I mean, an engineer by profession who actually worked at NASA has now dedicated his life to the mental and spiritual health of the youth. And one must visit S. Vyasa and see the kind of work that he and his sister and the whole team has done. Amazing work. And more importantly, all this is evidence-based work, which is actually researched and published in the best of journals, not just nationally, but globally. And sir, your contribution to even the International Yoga Day that has been celebrated globally. Of course, it was our Honorable Prime Minister who actually promoted the International Day of Yoga, but it was actually behind the screens. It was Dr. Nagendra Swamiji, our Guruji. And for this, I think all of us really need to be so indebted to him, because yoga was known and practiced in almost all the countries across the world. But now you see that, when a day is celebrated as International Yoga Day, it is actually a global celebration that never ever happened. And because of this, the old Indian knowledge systems is so well appreciated along with yoga, that all this credit goes to Guruji. So without wasting much of my time in introducing him, I would request Guruji to address the gathering.
Thank you very much, my dear brothers and sisters. What a joy to hear the wonderful work Symbiosis has launched with the development of the health sciences and emotional thing. So here, I'm so happy to hear Girija leading this wonderful initiative. And Rajiji, you said rightly that the three main dimensions of mental health has to be dealt with essentially. The destigmatization and decentralization of the educational awareness brought forth, which has been emphasized by other people also. And it's very, very essential that we start the journey right from young age, so that we'll be able to deal with these things very effectively, probably rightly from primary school level itself. And there is the wonderful knowledge base that we have in Patanjali Yoga Sutras to deal with this mental health, and therefore this should become part of our entire educational system. Patanjali is given the 196 sutras in 4 chapters, in which he deals with the whole of the dimensions of the mind, which leads us to the higher levels. He called it a chitta, and 5 types of chitta. Pramana, Viparya, Kalpa, Nidra, Smritayaha are the types of chitta that he talks about. And the whole aspect of yoga is to gain mastery over the mind. Yogaha, chitta vritti nirodha, as all of you have heard. In this mastery, there are 2 dimensions. One is to make our mind very sharp, intelligent, brilliant, creative, faster mind, quicker mind, brilliant mind, sharper mind. That's all what we are doing in the education system. The other dimension is to calm down the mind, silence the mind, tranquil the mind, go to deeper and deeper levels of silence. These are like 2 wings on which we gain mastery. So the resilience which you talk about is this power of the mind. The willpower has to be developed to bring in all dimensions of resilience that we are talking about for the youth. Since the mind is weak, they succumb to all the challenges and they suffer so much. It's so pathetic to see, as last time I was discussing with Bajamdardi also, how people have gone to the drug addictions, and it's so pathetic to see such things happening. And correspondingly, the whole life gets completely spoiled. And therefore, it's very, very necessary that children should be empowered with this dimension of power of the mind. That is by using the yoga dimension. Therefore, the 2 wings have to be brought forth. Continuously, there should be yoga dimension. Realizing this rightly, our Honorable Prime Minister brought this International Day of Yoga and say that it should not remain only with a few people who go to Himalayas and experts in yoga, but it should be spread all over the country, all over the world. And yoga should become a socially relevant science. and in its true perspective, not merely as yogic postures or asanas, but as a science of holistic living, dealing with the body, mind, emotions, intellect with a spiritual basis. Therefore, the entire protocol was developed for the International Day of Yoga with the help of all the yoga masters in the country, and whether it is Swami Ramdev or Shishi or Jagivaste or Kaivaladama experts or Hamsaji and all of us joined together to put forth a comprehensive, very effective, very simple yoga protocol of about 35 to 40 minutes. And then it has to be brought forth. And again, it was again our Honorable Prime Minister who was able to tell all the ministries that you should bring. And last year, Ministry of Ayush was given the target we must have 20 crores of people to practice this IDY protocol. This how we'll be able to get control over the mind. And then this year, the target is increased to 30 crores of people. By June 21st, we must do that. Already we started 100 days program to bring this wisdom base by various yoga masters to bring this possible. Therefore, I request the Symbiosis also to participate in this big movement of bringing more and more people in every nook and corner. It has become more necessity, a big necessity in the modern times of COVID, where we don't have the required medicines or even good vaccines which are 100% effective. And it is only by yoga that we'll be able to keep the dimension coming down. What a shame to see Maharashtra increasing so much in COVID. And also Delhi has come, Karnataka also started. And we are talking only about vaccine and probably the distancing and then the masking and other things. Okay, it's fine. But more important is to bring in the yoga and then Ayush dimension to the whole thing. So we did a lot of research in this direction and also published papers. And we have shown that yoga is extremely efficacious in prevention and promotion of positive health. Therefore, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and Ministry of Ayush has brought out the necessary protocol, which had to be made compulsory to all the students in all our universities and colleges and even in schools and others. Therefore, it is very, very necessary that we have to bring forth these dimensions effectively. Otherwise, the mind, when it doesn't have the mastery, then Patanjali said it may succumb to various aspects. He talks about the 9 types of the things called as Vyadi, Sthana, Samshaya, Alasya, Pramada, Avirati, Bhranti Darshana, Alabdha Bhumikatva, and Anamastitatvani, Te Vikshepaha. These are called as the antarayas. These are the problems and challenges that we face in the mental health. The modern mental health experts also have talked about these things, and Patanjali has given a very comprehensive outlook of the entire dimension of not only neuroticism, but also the psychotics and the other dimensions of schizophrenia and many other things. And all these things he has given the solution is that we have to gain mastery over the mind, He says, Tat Pratishedhartham Ekatattva Abhyasaha. He gives, and later on, he says there is the wonderful tools of using pranayama or the breathing practice to deal with that very effectively. And therefore, Swami Ramdev has been emphasizing on pranayama to everybody so that people will get the wonderful dimensions. Therefore, it is very necessary that we bring in yoga right from beginning in our school education itself and take it to every level. This is what we have been trying to do that. And therefore, our Honorable Prime Minister said to the Ministry of Education that yes, you should bring at all levels. Therefore, they wanted the syllabus to be brought forth. Therefore, NCT, that the National Council of Teacher Educators trains 13.5 lakh teacher educators every year. And yoga was made compulsory, and simple yoga practices for them was put forth. Then the NCRT came forward, then the UGC came forward, and we all sat together and developed the necessary yoga protocol, which is genuine, which is holistic, which is wholesome, which can give the necessary dimension of strengthening of the mind, the willpower, so that the resilience is going to come up in an effective way for our youngsters and youth and the elderly, the whole set of people, and which has become a big necessity today in the COVID thing that we are facing today. Therefore, this has to be brought forth. Therefore, rightly, when I came there many times, the Symbiosis, we also said that we should start the yoga dimension. I am sure Ujumdar also is very familiar, and all of you have been introducing these dimensions of yoga more and more to all levels. Particularly in the present scenario, we have said before every class, whatever class we take offline or online, 5 minutes of yoga practice. That is the pranayama practice. Simple breathing, slow deep breathing, and the Brahmari pranayama. It's a wonderful tool which shows, the nitrous oxide brings forth, and it can combat the COVID, the thing that comes up. A lot of research has shown that. Therefore, it has become very necessary. And if we can introduce immediately, all the things. Yesterday, we had a meeting in government of Karnataka where our Honorable Minister Sudhakarji was telling that we have to do this thing. Then it was emphasized that yoga has to be brought forth, and the accepted protocol has to be brought forth in hospitals and in all places, so that we'll be able to deal with the increasing incidence of COVID everywhere. That's what we have to do. Therefore, I request with your influence, with the tremendous growth of the Symbiosis throughout Maharashtra and all over the world, we will join hands together to deal with this COVID effectively. This is a very immediate thing. And in the long range, we have mental health and dealing with that by using, again, yoga. So we have collaboration with Nimhans, in which we have set up an advanced center for the yoga research there, and it's going on nicely. And many papers have been coming out there. Therefore, bringing the evidence base for all these dimensions, as you rightly said, is very, very important. And I'm so glad that you organized this wonderful webinar of mental health to raise the resilience of youth. That is, we consider at the mind level. And that is the most important. That's where yoga comes into picture. Rightly, the role of the people in the counselors and others are all very, very important. And all these people should be trained in the yoga field so that they'll be able to bring forth the essential features, which is our traditional grandeur that we have, the wisdom base that we have, which deals with the basic solutions of this thing can completely normalize not only the mental health, but also the NCDs, which is taking a big role. And therefore, once again, I congratulate all of you. I'm so happy you have such a wonderful team. I'm so happy that the Symbiosis and the leadership thing is taking up nicely. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. Dhanyavad. Yeah.
Nagendra Mujumdar here. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for your time. I have been
Yeah.
listening to your speech very attentively, and I'm really thank you for giving time and coming for this webinar.
Thank you.
I liked your practical suggestion of making students start with 5-minute yoga every day. That will go a long way in strengthening the mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Dr. S.B. Mujumdar. Thank you, Dr. Nagendra ji. This was really wonderful. We are really glad to have you. And you are, as Dr. Mujumdar has said, the pearls of wisdom will help us, not only us, but everyone who is here today. So without further ado, I would like to ask Vice President of Empower, Dr. Aparna Maithil, to come and present a vote of thanks. Over to you, Dr. Aparna.
Thank you, Dr. Amrish. It gives me a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this special occasion. Before I proceed, let me congratulate the organizing team and wish conference a great success. First and foremost, I thank our chief guest, Padma Shri Dr. H.R. Nagendra, President Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhan Sansthan, who despite his busy schedule has found time to grace the occasion. I also express my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Rahul Bose, youth icon, actor, and philanthropist. You have really inspired all of us today. We are grateful to Dr. S.B. Mujumdar, Chancellor, International University, Dr. Vidya Yerwadkar, Pro-Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, Mrs. Neerja Birla, Founder and Chairperson, Empower, for their support and guidance. Thank you, Dr. Rajiv Yeravdekar, Dean, Symbiosis International University, for his active involvement and constant support. I owe special thanks to the entire team at Symbiosis and Empower for their tireless efforts. I thank all distinguished invitee, participants, media representatives present here. Last but not the least, I thank Dr. Girija Mahale, Dr. Amrish Dharmadhikari, Dr. Anita, Ms. Parveen Sheikh, Ms. Ananya, Ms. Avanti, who shouldered the responsibility of making this conference a reality. Finally, I leave you with this inspiring quote by Maya Angelou. I can be changed by what happens to me. I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. Once again, thank you for your attention and please enjoy the conference. Thank you so much.